Direct from the web, it's Billy Masters Live. And now, please welcome your host, Billy Masters.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Billy Masters Live. Today is Tuesday, May 5th, 2020, because, of course, I never know what day it is unless somebody puts it on the screen for me. And I am, of course, your host, Billy Masters. All right, I'm going to just get this out of the way first. Now, if you see this eye, this like puffiness and dark circles, okay, it's an allergy day. I woke up, I couldn't even open the eye. I was like the Cyclops. And I'm looking in the mirror, and of course, the superficial, shallow gay man in me was like, cancel the show, no show, I can't do it, I'm disfigured. And then I said, who cares? And every once in a while, so I know my friend Kenny watching in LA will get mad because of the glare. Every once in a while, I'll put the glasses on to turn your face away from the garish light of day. All right, so I'm not going to do the monologue I prepared because I read something last night that kind of disturbed me, and we will talk about it with our first guest. A security guard at a dollar store told some people or guy to put on a mask. And you know what this happened to the security guard? He ended up dead. So I have friends that really are very militant, and they're like yelling at people and screaming and put on your mask. And I constantly am yelling at my friends saying, why do you feel the need to tell people what to do? But then it hit me last night. By my telling them not to tell people what to do, I was telling them what to do. So I'm going to stop telling anybody what to do. That will last till the end of the show. So, but I will say this. Do what you think is right. And yes, obviously, if you're not wearing a mask, you're not really taking a risk on yourself. You're just saying, I don't care about other people. And if that is the message you want to give out, by all means, do it. I'm staying away from you. It's like sex. For those of you, our gay friends out there, because this is not our first pandemic. Here's the thing. If you want to stay alive, you take care of yourself. So same thing with the masks and the gloves and the washing. You people do what you want to do. All right, that's it. That's my lecture. No fun little story, but there will be fun stories coming. Our first guest, I go back, she'll have to figure this out, 30 years maybe? It's got to be around 30 years because I would have been of age 30 years ago. Ish. No. I have no idea. I can't do math. 29 years, whatever. Anyway, she is a boss of mine. She is publisher of Bay Windows and South End News in Boston. She is also an anchor on NBC's channel here in Boston. And I am thrilled to say I am here with my good friend, Miss Sue O'Connell.
Oh, hello.
Yes, okay.
Hello, Billy Masters. How are you? Yes.
Okay. So Sue had a short-lived, not that short-lived.
Not short-lived. It was a good 3 years. 3 years. This is my fifth year at NECN. So I've had a good run.
So I had only been on 3 or 4 times, and I felt like I was a regular.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said that when I come back, we'd have mugs. So these are the take mugs. Actually, oh wait, I have a picture I can show people.
Oh, good.
You know, if at the take you had a producer. I
had a producer. We had. I mean, this is where we are right now, Billy. Not very far away from where we were when we met some
30-ish years ago.
Plus years ago, I think, because I was under 25 at the time when I met you.
And I was about 20, right?
Right, yes.
So this is the mug, and they
wow.
are the take mugs. And there was such drama in ordering these mugs from Zazzle because they didn't want me to use a copyrighted image and pretend like I was somebody. And I said, no, I'm me. I'm on the mug. I had to send them a license. It was ridiculous. So I got these mugs made, and I thought Sue and I could do the next show holding our mugs.
But then there was no next show.
Well, I was booked. I was booked for what was supposed to be her last show.
I was canceled, not fired. Hashtag canceled, not fired. Still have a job. Still working at NECN. Still doing political commentary. Yes, still very busy. But I have a mug now.
She does. She's had 2 mugs.
Tell us, yeah. So are you friends with Pamela Adlon at all?
No, who is that?
She's the great writer and producer of Better Things. The show that's on.
Oh yes, no, I do know. No, I do know her, of course.
So she did an episode of Better Things just recently about when you get to a certain age, sometimes your hands stop working, and I'm coming up on my 10-year anniversary of having trigger finger surgery, carpal tunnel surgery. So my right hand doesn't really work that well anymore. So I was holding my mug just last week, and I dropped it and shattered it, and it was kind of heartbreaking. And on Sunday, because I live such a glamorous life, I had decided to clip my 15-year-old dog's nails, right? Because everything is closed, and even though you can go get your pets done, I mean, it's a big deal. And I forgot that she was on blood thinner. So I clipped a nail, and then it was a bloody murder scene all around the house. I had to run out to get that powder that you pour in to clot. And I emailed Billy to say, I don't have my mug because it broke. And by the time I came home from the CVS, there was a mug hanging on my door. It was like Santa.
Yes, and I got an email. She's like, oh my God, how do you do these things? I know, well, because I also have no life, but this will hurt. This will hurt our guest Greg Louganis, who is very yes, I know he just looked up. See, that's the joy of being a producer. You could see everything.
You can see what's going on.
Because I clipped Lily's nails last weekend. I only had one bleeder. I'm just gonna have people know, only one. He's shaking his head vigorously, but I had one. But one bleeder. Oh.
It's a very blood-driven show today so far. We're talking about murder.
Okay, so let's talk about what's going on in the world. Well, first off, how are you doing in this?
I'm fine. Look, I am grateful. I have a job that I can work from home at. I'm still employed at NECN, and I get to do my segments, which air daily on NECN, talking to people about how COVID-19 is impacting them and talking to candidates. So I'm fine. I'm dug in. I realized I wasn't really going out that much before, so I would like the freedom to go out. But I have no complaints.
You're also still doing NPR radio in Boston.
Yep, I'm on WGBH on Jim Browdy and Marjorie Egan's show, Boston Public Radio. I'm on once a week or so, and I'm also hosting on many Thursdays Lunch Hour Live, which is a broadcast that was from the Boston Public Library, a social media broadcast around the PBS shows. Very highbrow, darling. I'm very highbrow now doing PBS shows. Long way from the campus, the campus Man Ray strip shows. Long way from there. But I'm doing those on many Thursdays. So yeah, I've only got like 12 jobs to make the same amount of money that I used to make 10 years ago. So
less. You were making far less. I know it, and you know it. Are you still public? Is Bay Windows out in a paper format?
Yep, Bay Windows, the Region's LGBT weekly Q Plus newspaper. We're out every other week now, and we're still doing the print publication, still getting picked up, and the South End News, which serves the South End neighborhood in Boston. That's also coming out every other week. So we're still plugging along. Jeff Coakley and I plugging along.
Well, I ask because many of my other papers that carry my column, Billy Masters, go to billymasters.com. See, I'm supposed to say these things. I never do. But most of my other papers are now only digital format because of resources. I mean, when bars close and restaurants close and flower shops close, nobody's paying the ads. You can't pay a printer if there's a printer open. And then if you even have a paper, there's nowhere to get it to people. So the people never realize, and I talk about this all the time, how everything really is connected. And when people say, oh, you're just a writer, so it doesn't affect you because you're still working at home. I'm like, I'm writing to nobody. Who am I writing to?
Right. I mean, I think that's one of the downsides of the internet is just how siloed people are. The thing that you don't realize about a print publication, especially a free print publication, is that when it's distributed everywhere, it's sort of like advertising on its own. You see the cover of the newspaper or the magazine, you wonder what it is, you might pick it up, you might go look for it again, who knows, but at least you've reached someone. And on the internet, the only way you can really reach people is if you've gotten lucky enough to get something that goes viral, or if you're paying for advertising. So it's a very topsy-turvy world than the one that we entered into, Billy, in the latter part of the last century.
Of the 80s. So I bring that up also because before we went online, I got a blast. So the DC Eagle, which is the biggest gay bar in Washington, DC, will not be reopening. And it wasn't so much that the bar failed, it's that the building was sold.
Right.
But again, the synergistic relationship that the clubs, the press, the internet, all the small gay businesses have is so fragile right now. And I do believe this is something that we're going to see a lot more of.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, the right here, Great Scott, which is not an LGBTQ club, but a live music venue that's been around forever, that just recently, this week, announced that they would not be reopening. And again, not necessarily COVID related, but because the owner of the building is going to do something else with it. So, I mean, I don't know what, I think the new world order will happen once we hopefully get on the other side of being able to prevent COVID-19 and coronavirus transmission. But, the nightclubs have been on their last legs for just about everyone. I mean, here in Boston, we are experiencing these big kind of Las Vegas-like nightclubs, which I don't think we ever thought the city would be able to sustain. But at the same time, we're not really, Club Cafe is still happening in Boston. How many years is that? That's got to be
that's
40?
35, 40. Yep.
Yeah, 40 years.
And when you say not COVID related directly, the other thing is it may very well be because the owner may really need money.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. We don't, it's like all the people who died and they said it was pulmonary issues or respiratory issues. We don't really know how far reaching this is. And it struck me recently that we are living through something people will read about in history books, like the Spanish flu, the day Kennedy was shot, Pearl Harbor. I thought 9/11 was going to be it. And even that was really contained. We didn't know it at the time.
Right. But you know what? The thing is that and this is the part that I always find fascinating, is that, history will judge us now. Right. And there's a lot of things that we did after 9/11 that we put in place. We don't think twice. I'm old enough to remember being able to run to catch the shuttle at LaGuardia and running through security and jumping on a plane.
There was no security. If you didn't have a bag, you showed a waved
ran
ticket
right
and
in.
ran.
And we changed things. We changed things to make ourselves, we hope, safer from attack. And those things, there will be changes from COVID-19 that will. So I always wonder, what side do you want to be on? It's like the same-sex marriage or marriage equality battle. Like in Massachusetts, the first state to have same-sex marriage, and a Democratic governor and state and Senate and representatives. At some point, they could see that history was shifting, and if they were against same-sex marriage, they tried to move over so that they would be listed in the history books as having supported it. And I think, why do you want to be so anti-efforts to try and contain COVID-19? Because if we do it quickly and we do it efficiently, then the pain will be less in terms of obviously lives lost and people hurt, but also the economy. So I'm like, get on the right side of history now.
Well, I also think when you talk about history, I go back to slavery because, it's always my go-to. And before slavery was abolished, it actually was written in to legalize it. When people see that something's going to be taken away from them and it may be the right thing, they dig in a little bit harder. And I think that's what we're seeing now with a lot of communities opening up far earlier than I believe they should. A friend of mine was down at the Esplanade in Boston this weekend and said you would never know anything was going on. People were laying out and bike riding and playing frisbee.
Well, Billy, how long did it take us to get people to wear condoms in the 80s? I mean, this is part that I think on one hand, society has reacted very quickly to, wearing masks and washing their hands and social distancing. We stood in nightclubs for nights and nights and nights for years and years and years trying to convince people that wearing a condom would and safer sex would decrease the chance that they would catch HIV and AIDS. And it took us years to get that message out. So
and that was at the same time we were seeing our friends, many of whom worked in the bars, disappear.
Yep. Yep.
But I also think that, sort of like what I talked about at the beginning, taking care of COVID begins with yourself. You aren't going to, I believe you do need those loud voices to advocate taking care of yourself, not to be stupid, to not put other people at risk, but ultimately you have to do it. And I think the more people who do it send a message much louder.
Yeah, I agree. And I also think it's just good manners. This is the part that I never understand about this. I'm basically an atheist, but I say God bless you to people when they sneeze because it makes them feel good. Do I think that it's some kind of terrible hypocrisy that I'm living? No. So why not just wear a mask? It's just good manners. You're just showing someone that you want to decrease their stress, that you want to limit the opportunity for them to get infected with COVID-19. Just be polite, be well raised. What's the big deal?
Well, and you also want to show, because by not wearing it, you're saying, I don't care about you.
Right.
Ultimately,
or I'm stupid. That's the other thing you're saying. Is I'm stupid.
that is what one of my friends says. He will yell at people, but again, this security guard, he yelled at somebody and he's dead.
Yeah. Well, he was doing his job. He was asking someone to wear a mask in order to enter the store, and allegedly the family of the person came back. I mean, I've only had, I'm a Revere girl. For the folks who don't know, Revere is kind of like the Brooklyn of Massachusetts or the Atlantic City of New Jersey, And I've only had a couple of altercations in line at the Whole Foods at 8th Block and South End, So I'm trying to not get arrested and not end up in jail as a mask. Well, I'm not so worried about that because,
you can take care of yourself.
Take your shot,
Yeah, exactly. I have this really eerie feeling of deja vu, and I do feel like, it's almost PTSD, because when this first started, it brought me back. I have one friend that I will talk on the phone, because I can be up, and you know me well enough, my default is to be very positive, but when we're alone, we get dark, and we're like, so when are things going to turn around? 2022? What do you think? And I was really brought back because I've only had, let's see, 2 people that are one person removed from me who have died of this, which is nothing compared to what we went through in the 80s. But I started thinking, this is the beginning. I still think we're at the beginning.
Oh no, we're absolutely at the beginning, and you have to remember, for those young enough to have avoided the HIV/AIDS emergence, we also were begging people to pay attention, that there was an illness that was impacting people and killing them. I mean, it was almost 400 people dead before anybody even paid attention to the fact. It was called gay cancer. It was called GRID, and no one cared.
And because of that, they didn't think that it could happen to them, which is the scariest thing. And that's what I'm seeing now with beaches opening, that people are saying. And the funniest thing that really, I do chuckle every time I hear it, when people say, well, nothing's happened to us in our city. And I'm like, because you've been staying home.
Well, here's the thing that I don't get, and this is what I don't get about the Gen Z and the younger millennials, right? They so understand what the term going viral means, but they don't understand that it's based on the model of a virus, right? So going viral means that you don't know how it happened and it just spreads like crazy. And that's based on a virus, which we actually have right now, which we don't have a lot of information about. We've been studying the flu since the 5th century or the 4th century, the 6th century, a long time ago. We know a lot about the flu. We know a lot about HIV and AIDS. We know a lot about Ebola. But, we don't know a lot about this. And that's the part that is hard for public health and government folks, because they're trying to plan things and take precautions without having information yet. And that's the scary part. I think that if everybody just did their part, and stayed home, and it's financially a hardship. Like I said, I'm lucky it's not impacting me that way, but it will impact me eventually.
Of course it will.
And it's a hardship that I think we have to get through together. And I don't, not in a Pollyanna sort of way, but the more we adhere to what we're supposed to do, the quicker this will hopefully get us to the other side.
I think that if every government official would take a cue from Chris Cuomo and let's start by saying, we don't know.
Right.
But instead of saying we know, because you don't know anything, and I think everyone is very apprehensive of anybody who gives them facts, because if you listen to the facts, they're all over the place. They're not facts.
They're developing. I mean, that's the hard part that Americans, I don't know if it's true about other countries, but this is what drives me crazy is it's the scientific method, that the things that scientists do is they show something and then they try to disprove it. And then that's how it evolves. And that's how we end up getting science and knowing what we know. It's not that it's etched in stone and it's never going to change, but scientists, the same scientists who you rely on if you have a heart attack and who you trust are working on trying to find a vaccine and trying to determine how much of this COVID-19 is impacting so many organs in our body. That's the other scary thing that they're finding out. So just wash your hands, put a mask on, be polite. Be polite.
I will say I did get not yelled at, but certainly the person was not happy. I've been taking walks when we have good weather, which finally this weekend we did, because it's Boston. We no longer have spring. We go from winter.
It was March and January. It was March and February. It was March and March and April, and it's March today.
Yeah, but I was out walking in a Boston suburb that I'm not allowed to reveal because my parents get very angry when I say what city. Although you can.
As do the residents, the other residents do.
Yeah, oh, exactly.
It's a shame.
So I was out taking a walk, and I walked by a park where a guy was playing with his dog, and of course the dog, not on a leash, in the park, which was fine, sees somebody and comes running over, and of course I go down to pat the dog and kiss the dog and play, and the guy's looking at me like I'm a leper, and I went, oh, I guess we shouldn't be doing this.
Well, you raise a good point, because there's reports that some pets have gotten COVID-19.
Right.
And I continue to say this, and I said this during the Obama administration when the unaccompanied minors came over the border and they were detained. I want to be on record. I criticized the Obama administration about this. And people were saying we should just put those kids into detention or turn them away. And I said, if 5,000 puppies came over the border, people would be like, oh my God, let's adopt them. Let's help them.
Little puppies.
So once the dogs start getting sick from COVID-19, everyone's going to lock everything down.
Yeah, the cats, I don't really.
They care much about cats.
I mean, I know you're a lesbian, but sorry.
Don't like the cats.
Oh, I love you. You're my kind of lesbian.
Not a cat person. I like cats individually. I don't like them as a group.
All right, fine. And I didn't like the movie. So I'm going to go back. Now, this is sort of going back just before you met me. But I mentioned this in the column recently, is in high school and college, I was a lifeguard on the swim team, a diver, and taught swimming. So I thought it was apropos. I actually met I don't even consider you a guest. You're like a co-host. So in that time, I will say, I was not a great diver. I mean, I got in the water. I got from the board to the water, and I got my letter, I think, basically out of pity. And so people ask, can you prove this? Well, I do have a picture of me diving that was in a local paper. That was me. Where did that body go?
That is pretty amazing. That is a swimmer's body right there.
It was. And now but now you didn't get to see my face. So here is me teaching a swimming class. Now, do you recognize me at all?
I do indeed. Yes, I do. Okay.
You knew me back then. And then teaching a diving class with somebody with not the best form in the world. I'm on the far left.
Look at you, you hottie.
Can I just say I was a diver? So go to hell, all of you. And so I believe Greg doesn't really remember this either, because we've talked about this recently, but I went to Florida, and we're kind of on the fence where this was, but I did a diving clinic. Now you got to understand, to me, as a diver, Greg Louganis was it. There was nobody better. And I wasn't necessarily out gay. I think I knew that I was attracted to men, but you saw this and you were like, who in the name of God is that? And then, hello, there was this. And one more, just because I enjoy it so much. Oh, well, I didn't have that body. But, oh, look, he's blushing. I can even see in the little thumbnail. But it is a thrill. Somebody that I've admired as long as I can remember, and is also a really nice guy. And I can't believe I call him a friend, Mr. Greg Louganis. Hey, Gregory.
Hey, Greg. How are you?
Mike working?
Very good.
So when you see those old pictures, and I know they come back constantly, does it seem like a lifetime ago?
To a degree. I mean, I remember when they were taken, and most of them I remember the photographers too. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I worked with the photographers a lot back then.
And yet we look at
that one is Greg Gorman. That one is.
Well, Greg, I know, of course.
Yeah.
And Herb Ritz was the black and white. I should point out. I'm sure I'm using them illegally, but
yeah.
What else is new?
Yeah, that's what I do. But here's what I find really fascinating: is what year was the ESPN photo shoot? Was that just 4 years ago?
Oh my God! Has it been that long?
I think it may be.
It was pretty current.
Okay, so here are some pictures of Greg sort of recreating some of his dives, but au naturel.
Yeah.
So, hello, look at you. And you are how old, Gregory?
And I think I was late 50s. I turned 60 this year, so.
Okay, so late 50s. And just one more, a pike position and yet still tucking, which I appreciate.
It was so funny because when they reached out to me, they said, well, I said, is it going to be a closed set? And they said, oh, we want it outdoors. And I said, yeah. And how are you going to secure the set?
Right.
And I said, well, it'll be secure. And I said, and they said, well, Michael Phelps didn't have any problems with it. Why do you? It's like I'm on a platform, and all of the neighbors are looking down. It's like, yeah. But once it got started, everybody was really cool and professional on the set, so it made me feel comfortable, and it's fine.
So I think I have written into my contract that there's an intimacy coordinator. So I told Billy he had to sign off on that. Okay. So I'm wearing extra clothes today because he wouldn't.
I think both of you can attest to the fact that I've never been appropriate with either of you.
That's true.
I'm a little touchy. I'm very handsy like Joe Biden. But I bring that up, Greg, because last week there was a video that circulated of Tom Daley, which I know you know nothing about because you weren't in the room, kissing another diver. And I was trying to explain to people that divers and swimmers, we're less comfortable actually putting on clothes. Being shirtless is really very natural for someone like me, and I'm sure you.
Well, yeah, I mean, very comfortable in a bathing suit, but getting dressed up, it's like how do you fit everything? Getting a tux on,
right?
You need instructions, right? It's like, okay, where does the cummerbund go?
Because that's not our wheelhouse.
It's like yeah. So Speedos are easy.
Bill, you still spend a lot of time walking around naked or in your Speedo around the apartment?
I don't know.
I'm pretty appropriate. You
are.
But I was I'm sports director for the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series. Unfortunately, our series was canceled for this year, postponed for next year. So we're looking ahead for that. And I mean, those are young guys, young athletes. And I let them show their stuff. I cover up a bit.
I had shown Sue pictures of me teaching swimming and diving, and I was very active in my community as a teacher and a diver. And on the off season, I worked at a local mall. And one of my former students, I used to love the non-swimmers. They were my favorite by far. And this little girl comes running towards me. She's like, Billy, I didn't recognize you with your clothes on. And people in the mall look at you like, oh, geez, we got the pedophile working at the mall.
Yeah, I forget that all the time. You know, years ago when I was out with my mom at a shopping mall, I was like, "Oh, you're Greg Louganis. I didn't recognize you with your clothes on." Yeah.
See,
So
Sue, did that ever happen to you, Sue?
Never once, not once. No, no.
Greg, what are you working on now in the quarantine? How are you keeping yourself busy and active and sane?
well, been working on. I'm developing a program, meditation in motion, and teaching what I teach a lot of young athletes: relaxation, breathing, visualization, and meditation. So that's something that I've been working on. We're also just got the contract for the biopic that we're developing.
The theatrical release, yeah.
Yeah, for theatrical release. So real excited about that because when Breaking the Surface was it went straight to TV with Mario Lopez. It was,
and here's a picture of you with Mario and you with Patrick David, who played you as a younger man.
Yeah. And it was a very different time. Because I remember the first script that I took a look at back then, it was really powerful, but in order to get it on TV and Family Channel and all that, they really kind of had to water some stuff down. So, it's kind of exciting that they're bringing this back and making it much more current because there was that so much you can focus on from Breaking the Surface. And so, so we're, getting another shot at it.
And how often does somebody get 2 biopics?
I know. And then we had the documentary.
The documentary.
Yeah. Back on Board, Cheryl Fergenic and Will Sweeney. They did an incredible job. I mean, we were nominated for an Emmy. So, there's a few things going on.
Well, I look forward to the stage production on ice production. I think that would be Breaking the Surface on ice.
No, we're actually writing a musical. Judy Norton.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, Judy Norton, Patrick Allen Casey's writing the music and the lyrics, and so we've been working on that. We're pretty close to getting to the point where to workshop it. Just see where we're at with it. But Patrick Allen Casey and Judy Norton, they have been incredible. So we've been working together, and so it's something to look forward to. And back to my roots, which is theater and
well, I was just going to say, I've seen you in many plays. I've always gone back and seen you. I remember Jeffrey specifically, but you also did something which is really hard to do, which is take over somebody else's one-man show and embody their show, which was Dan Butler's show.
Dan Butler's The Only Thing Worse You Could Have Told Me. That was, it was terrifying and exhilarating. The way that I describe it, it was the longest 10-meter dive I had ever done in my entire life. I'd hit the stage and I never knew where I was going to land, where I was going to finish. And it was an amazing experience. And,
which causes you more, I don't want to use the word anxiety, but nervousness when you look at your entire career of all the things that you've accomplished in all the different realms, whether it's sports or acting or advocacy. Where do you sometimes feel the most nervousness?
The most nervous because they're different. I say that they're really, really different. Doing the one-man show, that was terrifying, in a certain way. Breaking the Surface, before it hit the stands, I was afraid that I was sharing all of my weaknesses. And then being on book tour, people were coming to me and saying, "Oh my God, you saved my life," and just really empowering. And so sharing their stories. So, and I realized that by sharing my weakness, my perceived weakness, I was actually sharing my strength. So I think that I kind of couch it a little different way, but probably the activism stuff, I always want to be on the right side of it, but there's so many angles, that can come in from, and, to look at the big picture and that sort of thing. So I always get a little apprehensive at that, wondering if I've done all my research. Do I have all of the, the answers that are in in sync with who I am, that are reflective of who I am.
Yep.
Well, and also I have seen you at many events, and I don't know if people know this about you, but you are really kind of shy. You're really better one-on-one. If when I see you in a group, it's almost like you click into performance mode, that you are trying to be what they want you to be.
Right.
But I've gotten to know the real you, which I think is very different. You're very funny, and you're very at ease. You're not like a spokesmodel. You are a person, a person.
Well, it's funny because like my husband, Johnny, he's very outgoing. He's very much an extrovert. And so since we've been in quarantine, he goes, "Oh my God, how do you do it?" I said, "I'm very comfortable. I'm very comfortable being with myself, with my dogs, and it's okay that I'm not going out." And he's like, "Get me out of here." So that little that meme that's been going around, all introverts reach out to your extrovert friends, make sure they're okay. It's true. I mean, I'm very much an introvert. And
well, I think that that also comes with your background. Diving is a solitary sport. I remember as a diver when I'd be called to jump into a swimming relay because they were down a guy, and suddenly you have to think as a team, which is very different.
Yeah. Well, I did the team thing as well because I swam in high school.
Oh, you did too.
Yeah, and then I of course water polo, and one of the things that was great, you wouldn't find that today, but since I started high school, when I started high school, the girls on the gymnastics team recruited me to help coach the gymnastics team, because I was the only one who could hand spot.
Oh, wow.
And so they asked me, because they were trying to increase their degree of difficulty and all that in their routines, and they knew that I could hand spot because that's how I was raised. I grew up doing acrobatics and gymnastics and all that, so they reached out to me, and it was great because I coached the diving team and helped coach the women's gymnastics team, and so it was a lot of responsibility, but it was a lot of fun. And that was my social connection. So
I feel like I should be talking about my high school sports, since the two of you were hogging the whole conversation.
What sports did you play?
What do you think I played?
Field hockey.
No, we didn't have field hockey in Revere. We did, but we didn't notice it until it was in the yearbook. Soccer and field hockey, like in the 70s, were like, what are those things? I played basketball. I played basketball.
Really? You're a little bit of a thing.
I was, and they moved me from JV to varsity senior year so I could get a letter, and then I never played. So I was like, great. And then I played softball, of course, but I didn't get good in softball until I was in my 30s. So but I did get a letter for that. I got a letter for something, but I was class president, so I was busy.
Oh, you were an overachiever. Great. And Greg, you mentioned your husband. So let me just show people a photo of the two of you, which I love.
Johnny.
Yes. who's also, again, so sweet. I mean, I don't mean to say it like I'm surprised, but he is really so sweet, and you really complement each other, that you're both very different, and yet you come together, especially when you're out at public events, in a really united way.
Yeah. I mean, he's up front meeting and introducing himself and all that. He knows the people. I usually don't know who's who. So, he's at the forefront, and then he kind of brings me in. But it's funny because he knows that when I've had my limit, I'll kind of give him a nudge or a look, and he goes, "Oh, time to go."
It's great. It's great to have a partner like that. That's so wonderful.
Great. Yeah.
Oh, well, and speaking of time to go, Sue O'Connell, there's that transition. I love Sue. Please go to, what is the website? Baywindows.com.
Baywindows.com, mysouthend.com, and then I'm over at NECN daily in one day part or another. So and certainly just follow me on the social.
and I've always enjoyed working with you. All these, God, we work together more now than we did back then.
I don't know about that. Those strip shows at Man Ray Campus were weekly.
Yeah, well, we were also both drunk back then. Well, I wasn't so drunk. You were very drunk. Those 5 extra years, you were alive. Sue, thank you for joining
Thanks.
us today.
Good to see you. Thank you.
We'll talk
Thank you,
again
Greg. Good to
soon.
see you. Take care. Wash your hands. Washy.
Yes.
Bye, Sue. Greg, what I wanted to talk to you about is when you first started being active, it was really the gymnastics and the acting. And that's what I think a lot of people don't know is you really, when they saw you get into acting post-Olympic, I don't think they realized that was really what you thought you were going to do for some time.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I studied in school, and that's basically where I started. I started dancing when I was 1.5 years. I was performing on stage when I was 3. And I got a partner when I was 3. It was Eleanor Smith and Greg Louganis.
Wow.
I got second billing at that time.
Wow.
So, but it was great. But we couldn't compete in talent contests until I turned 6.
Was that some sort of rule?
All that time of rehearsals and recitals and performing at fairs and in parades and all that. So by the time we started competing, we started winning everything. So it was really amazing. And then she went into gymnastics. I followed gymnastics, and that was my first love. That's I had my hopes and dreams were to make the Olympic team in gymnastics.
Really?
Yeah. And then we had a pool built in our backyard when I was 8, and I started trying some of my gymnastic stunts off the diving board at home. And my mom didn't want me to kill myself, so she got me lessons. And so first day out to lessons, the coach asked me if I would join the dive team. And I said, well, I'll think about it, because I was doing dance, tap and jazz and acrobatics and gymnastics.
Yeah, that was a lot.
That was a lot. So I was adding diving to it. So from the age of 8 to 12, I focused, my energy was all different directions. But then when I was 12, I had bad knees. I had Osney Slaughter, which is pretty common for young, really, really active kids. And
so gymnasts get gymnasts get that.
Gymnasts get that, yeah. And also, tap dancing back then, we were on men,
sure.
and also you're a lot of pounding.
Mm-hmm.
And so my doctor said, well, you need to quit the gymnastics and the dance and acrobatics, but you can continue diving. You're going into water, and the board gives.
Right.
So then I set aside all of those other things, focused on one discipline and diving. And then a year later, I was world champion for my age group at age 13. And then 3 years after that, I was on my first Olympic team.
Which is, extraordinary that you had that. And you even had that while you were splintering your attention. And once you focused, it was really unstoppable.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty amazing. And also I went through a lot of kind of emotional growth too at that time, because at one point, diving was something I was good at, and I had to figure out, did I really enjoy that? And that's what I have to say towards the end of my diving career is I really learned how much I love the sport. And people don't realize how many times I announced my retirement. And
really?
how many times I quit, but I kept going back, because I realized that I really did love this sport.
I have to say that I loved it more coaching it as a competitor. It was horrific. I was a terrible competitor, and I really thought, because I really felt that I was not good enough. But I really was good at pointing out what was wrong, even with me. So I found coaching, and I only got up on a 10-meter platform once. I never jumped off of it. That was frightening. I think people should realize everybody should stand on a 10-meter platform. Just stand there and think about what that takes.
I think it also depends on when you're introduced to those kinds of things. Because
all right, I was late.
Yeah, because like when I went to my first world age group championships at 13.
Hmm.
Well, I was always told growing up when I was diving at that time, my mother told me that I was too young to go up on the 10-meter platform.
Hmm.
So I couldn't go up, and that's what you do. It's kind of reverse psychology, right?
Right.
So then I go to Europe, and mom's not there, and so I go up to the 10-meter. I just had to. And then when I came home from that trip in Europe, I was unpacking, and my mother noticed that I had 3 medals, and she was only expecting 2 medals, 1 meter springboard and 3 meter springboard. She said, "Greg, what's this 3rd medal for?" I said, "Well, that was for platform. It wasn't 10-meter platform that I was competing off of, but I did compete off platform 5 meter and 7.5.
Right.
So, yeah.
Did you have that? Did you have that trepidation standing up there the first time, or were you just excited to do it? Was it an
I was
adrenaline
excited
thing?
to do it because my mom told me I couldn't.
Well,
I was doing something that I wasn't supposed to be doing.
see, that was your rebel side.
Yeah.
And now I know that growing up, obviously you started realizing you were gay. You started not necessarily figuring out how you fit into your team, your friends, your life, the world. And yet we look at those pictures of you and go, oh my God, he's so gorgeous. He has it all together. And that really belies what was going on inside.
Oh yeah. I mean, it was, yeah, I didn't feel like I was good enough. I mean, I shared this with somebody the other day. It's like, I'm a slow learner. I mean, I really am. I mean, I had an Olympic silver medal and world championship title, and before I 76 silver medal in the Olympics, 78 world champion men's platform, and it really wasn't until 1982, so a number of years later, that I acknowledged to myself that I deserve to be at a world championships.
Really?
Yeah. So,
wow.
I had all of these, I was always trying to prove myself.
When did it kick in that you could look in a mirror and say you were happy with who you were? Because it seems like that was really much later.
Oh yeah.
Or did you equate self-worth with the medals, which you may have?
Yeah, I mean, I did earlier on. I mean, I did my performance in diving, and I think a lot of athletes go through this. If they have a good training session, then they have a good day. If they have a bad training session, it's a bad day. Right. So your entire self-esteem is hinged on how you're doing in your sport. And so I think that was for a lot of my earlier days, and also the diving. My dad didn't get involved with what I was doing until I got into diving. He didn't take any interest in the acrobatics, the dance, or the gymnastics, but he did get very involved with my diving, and so then that was kind of I was diving more for him, for his validation, for his acceptance, for his love.
And did he respond to that? So then you want to do even more to get more of a response?
Well, yeah, to a degry. I mean, there was at one point. I mean, I did tell him that he couldn't go to any of my training sessions. That
really,
he got really. He took his belt off and started whipping me in until I learned this dive that I was afraid to learn at the pool, and he made me do it at my home, at the home pool off our diving board, and then that's when I said, you can't go to training, my training anymore, but I want you to come to my diving meets, and he did. So yeah, I mean, we had an interesting relationship. It was interesting because I was really very grateful that I took care of him the last 6 weeks of his life, and I did bring this incident up, and he said, "Well, I loved you, and I saw this potential, and I didn't want you to, to disregard this talent that he saw.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, and that was the only way that he could show it. He really didn't have a role model as a parent, and so he was just doing the best he could. And so, it's like that old saying, when when your dad's taking his belt out, this is going to hurt you a lot more than it's going to hurt me.
Right.
It's hurt me more than it's going to hurt you.
Right.
But that was kind of his mentality.
Was he was
Wow.
was he first generation Greek in this country or second?
He was first generation.
So my family was first generation Albanian, and it was the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I haven't thought of this in years, but I was a pianist. Primarily, I was a musician. And I remember going into a competition, and I know as a diver, you do the same thing, is sometimes it just doesn't work. And it's not that you're not talented enough, prepared enough. Anything can throw you. Yeah. And I remember afterwards, like one of my parents so upset that they wouldn't speak to me for a couple of days. I'm like, so because I didn't do a good job, am I not a good person? And those messages do get very muddled for kids.
Yeah, they do. And that can come from a coach too.
Oh, yeah. I bet.
So that
because you're looking to them for approval, of course.
Right, because that happened in '76. I was only 16. I was still in high school. Oh. And so I started diving with Dr. Sammy Lee. And he was Olympic gold medalist 48 and 52. And then Klaus DiBiase from Italy was going for his third Olympic gold medal. So my training was with Dr. Sammy Lee was all about beating Klaus. I had
of course.
I had to beat Klaus. So all of my training, that's how I was conditioned.
Right.
And so when we were at in Montreal in '76, and I missed my 9th dive.
Right.
And
what was the dive?
Front 3.5 pike.
Yeah.
And so I missed my spot and was a little bit over, ducked my head on the finish. And Dr. Lee, he could not be in the same room with me. I mean, he started cussing me out after that dive, and he was really, really angry, and he couldn't be in the same room. He was so angry. Right. And then he came back right before my last dive, my triple twisting 1.5, forward 1.5 or 3 twists. And he said, well, just show him what you're made out of and go out a champion, nail it last dive. And all I could think of on the platform was, the sooner I get off this platform, the sooner it'll be over, and I never have to do this again. And so, and also, I mean, the awards ceremonies, I was an Olympic silver medalist. That was public humiliation on the world stage.
Because you felt that you didn't represent yourself.
Well, I didn't do what I was told that I was supposed to do. So I fell short of that. So I felt like a loser and embarrassed. And so, and it took many, many years before I could even hold that Olympic silver medal with any type of product.
Yeah, I thought of that. Yeah, well, I bet. I remember when Tom Daly at his last Olympics, and everybody is expecting something, and you just have a bad day, and people could say, oh, you did a great job, and you have to smile and nod, but you're dying inside. And diving is a very solitary sport. It's not like your team lost. Right. It's really so much on you. And I don't think people really understand the pressure of it, because it is really a very mental sport.
It really is. I mean, because once you get onto the world stage, everybody knows who the top players are. You know who's going to be in contention. But the Olympics can be a very interesting animal because there's such a media circus surrounding it. And sure. I remember I had a little Tom in Rio. He texted me and said, oh, do you have time to chat? So I chatted with him after the prelims. Prelims, he was awesome.
Yeah, right. He did great.
He won the prelims.
Yeah, but
and then I told him because and we live in such a different world now with social media and Twitter, Facebook.
Everybody is an instant critic.
All of that stuff. I said, whatever you do, don't look at your Twitter. Don't don't engage.
Right.
I don't think he took my advice.
No.
So, but the one thing that I did observe in that competition, because I was there, I was on the pool deck,
right,
was that I think that diving really needs to look at the schedule.
Oh, really?
Yeah, look at the dive schedule. They could space it out a little bit differently for the divers to have a little bit more time to recover.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because they're going right from a prelims where they do all of their optional dives, and then they go into semifinals where they do all of their optional dives, and then the finals they do all of their optional dives.
Right.
And the semifinals and finals are all on the same day.
Yeah.
That's a lot to ask for an athlete, and it's really hard to pace yourself. I mean, I would compete prelims, finals on 3-meter springboard, and then prelims, finals on 10-meter platform.
Wow.
And that was grueling.
Right, of course.
So, so what they're doing is, it's really hard. And if they want to get the best performances and give everybody the best shot, they should be able to space that out. And I think, if they alternate the men's and women's events, I think they would allow the athletes to recover a little bit better. You need more recovery on 10-meter platform than you do, say, springboard, because it's more pounding on your body. I think that would really help the athletes, and especially now with synchronized diving.
Oh God, it's insane.
Yeah, it's an incredible schedule for them to and try and meet and be at their peak and give the performance that all the athletes want to give.
Well, somebody who you did synchro with and who was a teammate of yours is here to join us. Who do you think it is? You do know already?
No. Who?
Oh, okay. Well, let's say hi to Kent Ferguson.
Oh, God. Oh.
Right down the street. How are you?
Where are you, Kent?
Yeah, we're in Palm Springs.
Okay.
Yep. We got in the car after this all started in San Francisco and just drove here, and we've been here ever since. So we're about a month and a half in, have another month here at least. So
Have you been renting the house in Palm Springs?
Yeah, we have, but we
who's renting right now?
Got the renters out and just Airbnb. So the last group moved out and we moved in and we decided to stay.
Well, you've been seeing us talk. Where did you two first meet? Do you remember? Kent?
I remember meeting Greg in the 1980 Nationals in Bartlesville, Oklahoma. I think I was a teenager and you didn't know who I was. I just thought it was great to be stepping on the same diving board that you were. That was all I got out of that Nationals. So, and I remember eating in the same breakfast nook or room as you were at the hotel in Bartlesville. So that's where I remember meeting you.
Well, Greg, when did you pay attention, really notice Kent?
Oh, well, Kent and I were teammates.
Right.
He came out to Mission Viejo and was diving with us, but obviously, I noticed him before that, because he was around, and because I just had such a weird diving career, because when I was diving, once I was finalist in the senior nationals, I could no longer dive age group. So I lost actually a lot of that group that was more my age, because I was 15 when I made my first nationals finals.
Wow.
So then I could no longer compete in age group competition.
Were you two did you overlap in an Olympics?
Well,
yeah. The first team I made, Greg had just left. So we were at many Olympic trials together, probably 4 Olympic trials together. So we went through the journey together for sure.
And at a certain point, you two became roommates, right?
Yeah, I think it was right after I made national team in the maybe mid 80s or something. Yeah, we started rooming at just competitions when we travel internationally. And I would try to get Greg out of the, get out and see, the city. Let's go, get out.
Yeah, because I would see where we stayed, hotel or dorm room and the pool. That's it.
We're in between.
Incredible places, and I'd never seen anything. And then Kent comes along and said, oh, come on, let's go to the red light district in Amsterdam. Let's go to oh, okay. But I didn't know those things were out there, and I didn't really have the confidence to do it on my own.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody would go with me.
Everybody would have gone with you. You didn't know it.
Maybe. I don't know.
I was the only one who asked.
Yeah, there you go. Well,
he had the courage to ask and said, come on, Ray, let's go.
And let's show people a picture of you guys in the day, which I love this photo.
That was at your birthday party, right?
Was that my birthday?
Yeah, it was at your birthday party, the big bash you had in Malibu.
Yeah. 30. I turned 33.
Well, all right. So it's not in the day. There were 10 pictures.
I might have that coffee mug.
One thing, because I know both of you, so I'm privy to things that maybe a lot of people don't know, is that you guys have tried to get on The Amazing Race.
Exactly. Yeah, we did actually. That was the last time I put a suit on and got on a diving board, and it was only because he made me. I'm terrified when I stand on the end of a diving board or a platform.
Thank you, Kent. It scares the hell out of me. Oh, I'm glad.
Me too. I don't know how I did it, but I did. So that was the last time I put a suit on. I got on a diving board was with you.
And why, Greg? Why haven't the producers responded to this?
I don't know. We did that video. Kevin McMahon did that for us at SC and all. I haven't heard it.
How many years ago?
Let's show people just a little clip of it. Hold on a second. Here.
I was in the 1992 Olympic team. I was a world champion in 1991. I was in the 1976 Olympic Games. I got a silver medal there. 2 golds in 84, 2 golds in 88. I first met this guy in 1980, and I was all of 17 years old. And I was 20. I was happy to be in the same room as Greg Louganis, and a little in the same diving board. Wait a minute, how tall were you at that time? 6 foot. I was 6 foot. You were 6 foot then? I was a tall guy. Okay. Tall guy. So from there, we ended up being teammates, and we ended up traveling the world together. I went to Austria, Italy, Australia. All over the place. Holland, it was everywhere. Great. It was really great. We always roomed together. We really had a lot of fun together. We're here to win their amazing race together. Yeah, finally, as a team. As a team.
I love that. And here, I wanted to just show my puppy on Lily.
Oh, Lily.
There's Lily.
Hi.
Very cute.
Okay, Lee, she's dying to go see my parents. Go ahead, honey. So, I think that's a great video. I don't know why anyone hasn't picked you guys up. You have great chemistry.
Yeah.
Totally.
But Greg has had problems with reality TV. Dancing with the Stars. What's going on?
Oh, I don't know.
They have an athletes edition, and you think, okay, this time he's a shoo-in.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you think it is a homophobia? Do you think it's a bias? Do you think it's a ratings or a visibility issue? What do you think?
I don't know. I must have pissed off somebody.
So can we put it out there that the two of you are available for any reality show that comes your way?
Anyone? I don't.
No, like Big Brother. Could you guys live in a house together for like a month or two?
Sure. I bet we could.
Sure. I guess.
All right.
I watch a whole lot of TV, so I'm not sure like what's out there and what I'm getting myself into. But
we're not going to ask you. We're not putting you on The Voice or something. I'm saying, Survivor. Could you be on an island together? That would be fun, I think.
I don't know. Without food. I don't know if I can do that. I'm not much of a a gardener.
Kent, we've talked to Greg what he's doing today. What are you doing with your time during the coronavirus? How are you managing?
Yeah, so my partner and I came to place in Palm Springs here, and we're hanging out here. I'm actually working remotely. I work for a big retail company, and I'm a director of recruiting. And so we are in the process of reactivating our employees and getting stores open for ship from store and buy online, pick up in store. So we are super active. I've been nonstop, but really, really good work getting people back to work.
The two you just mentioned your partner, so I assume you don't mind my saying that you're gay. So when did you two come out to each other? Did that ever happen?
I think Greg always knew about me. He knew before I did. Everybody else knew except for me. And then,
really?
But I was very curious, and I was always asking questions, and we were kind of going through a really tumultuous time in this country around being gay, and AIDS was huge. And so I was curious and not shy, I think, to find out and learn and understand more. But I don't think I really came out until after the Olympics in, probably, 92 sometime.
I know, because Greg, you mentioned recently you had posted something about Matthew Mitchum from Australia, who came out while he was still competing. I think was the first.
Yeah, I mean that I really admired Matthew because he came out while he was still competing. Before he won his Olympic gold medal in Beijing, and the reasons he said that he gave to come out is because he didn't feel like he could compete on that high level, sharing only a part of himself. And
that's interesting.
And I admired that so much. I mean, he really was my hero. And he's an awesome guy.
Sure, I've met him. He's great.
So I really give him tremendous amount of respect for his path, and paving the way, because then makes it so much easier for, other divers like Tom Daly, and everybody focuses on Tom, and it's like, well, before Tom, there was there he was.
Well, there were the two of you. There was that.
But when you're competing, it was after we finished competing.
Right. How would it have been for you, the Olympic journey, if you, I know there's no way to really know, but if you had been out and known that the other one was gay, would that have been a good thing? Would that have helped you? Come here, Lily.
Well, we were open. I was open about who I was. I was out, and anybody in USA Diving knew that about my sexual identity, because that oftentimes was an issue when the diving team is a very small unit, small team. So it was oftentimes an issue who is going to room with the fag.
Sure.
So, so then so that information was out there, and people knew. It was my policy not to discuss my personal life with members of the media. But the people around me knew.
What about you, Kent? Would it have changed? If you were diving today in today's world, would it have been an easier path for you, do you think?
I came out right before the Olympics, actually in '92, for fear of being outed, actually. And
really?
And so it was huge. It was, it was really just the biggest thing in my life right before the Olympics, right? So I think had I been able to come out more easily, that would have been helpful. I was just so in the closet. Grew up in the Midwest in a very conservative Republican state and city, and surrounded by family that was very Republican as well. And so I didn't feel like I had any options. And then when I got out to kind of start to see the world, it was like, okay, I get it. Now I've got to break the news, to my friends.
See, it sounds, I love hearing from both of you because, Greg, it sounds like you were able to sort of really find your solace in diving and really sort of block everything else out and focus on that. Where Kent, in your situation, because you had to deal with it in the public way, it's going to intrude on the diving experience.
Yeah, and I think I just wasn't comfortable with it. For me personally, just from I think how I grew up and whatnot. But the 4 years after I came out were probably the most fun and rewarding years of my career. I didn't do as well as I'd done the previous 4 years, but boy, did I have fun, and it was nice just being me, So,
what about you, Greg? Was it fun for you? Was the experience, looking back on it, was it a positive one?
For the most part, because like when towards the end of my diving career, and Kent and I were, making teams together, that really kind of opened my eyes to, to what was out there. I was much more open. I enjoyed it. I had a lot more fun. So it's always kind of a journey. Getting through and where you're going to find your joy. It changes.
Right. I think that the two of you, I think that while Matthew and Tom are doing a lot for the people today, I think without the two of you, they wouldn't be able to do what they did. So I think the two of you deserve a lot of credit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, it does take someone to kind of step out, and I guess for for a lot of people, it was me that kind of stepped. But and also the whole stigma surrounding HIV/AIDS.
Yeah, of course.
That was a whole nother thing. So it's one of those things that. Did I do it on? I felt I did it on my own terms, and that's the reason why I wanted to write the book. It's so important to me. Was to do it on my own, using my own words, using my own experience, so they see not just a headline, that they see a natural person.
Right. I think that you were kind of there were times where people would kind of dance around the subject with you, trying to see would you take the bait. And Kent, I don't know. Well, since you felt you were going to be outed, I assume that you were baited as well.
Yeah, that's a long story. But, I was protecting myself and my family just in case, kind of going into the post Louganis Olympics, being kind of the person was supposed to be the one to follow up Greg. There's a lot of things on my shoulder. I wanted to get this one off and be clear, kind of moving through. So yeah, it was interesting times. I'm glad I did. Timing was a little wonky, but it all ended up just fine. So I have no complaints.
What I think I really, since we're running out of time, I would be regretting if I didn't mention that Greg got a little bit of an honor that he finally got on that Wheaties cover.
Yeah.
Now, what do you think that was all about?
It was something that was brought up in the documentary Back on Board. And I didn't really think of it as that big of a deal until we were doing the filming for Back on Board, and we went to the International Swimming Hall of Fame, and then there's this whole wall of Wheaties boxes, and all of the athletes who were on the cover of the Wheaties box. And I was like, oh, and I wasn't up there, and I was like, okay, now I get it. People were making a big deal out of the whole Wheaties thing, when my book came out, and I didn't understand it. And then it didn't dawn on me until I was shooting with Cheryl Fergenic, and we were at the International Swimming Hall of Fame, and I saw that. I was like, oh wow, that is kind of a big deal. And so then Julie Sondra from the Midwest, she she wrote in this petition to get me on a Wheaties box, and it just went viral. It was crazy, and I was flattered. And then all of a sudden, it happened. And then they honored Janet Evans and Edwin Moses, so that we were legends, and that was great. And I really, I say this truthfully, is that I felt a greater honor being honored now, rather than had they honored me back in the mid to late 80s. Because they're, as far as I'm concerned, they're acknowledging a whole person. Because I'm a gay man living with HIV, and I'm all of these things, and yet I'm still on the cover of the Wheaties box. And I think that is, I think it's a greater accomplishment, really.
Well, it seems like a lifetime achievement kind of thing, rather than in a moment of time. They're acknowledging the body of work and the person, which I think is pretty special. And I don't think many people get to do that. So I think that's as good a place as any to end. I want to just thank Greg Louganis, Kent Ferguson, Sue O'Connor was here. Guys, please, thank you so much for doing this. Oh, wait, Greg's got a dog. Hold on. Am I going to see a dog? There's always a dog around.
Yeah.
Oh, who's this one?
This is Pax.
Oh, look how beautiful.
What?
How many dogs do you have right now, Greg?
Right now, 2.
Oh, well, that's not many for you.
No, I know. My husband's not a real dog person. So.
Oh my God, is that true?
He loves them. He loves them.
But
he loves them. He spoils them. He untrains everything I teach. But by spoiling them. But yeah, so and I've got a little one. Hey.
Okay, we're gonna get to see the little one. Kent, any animals, any pets?
Yeah, I hate to say it, but I've got 2 cats.
Well, all right. So you heard the whole show. I have allergies. Look, I can't be around cats. I won't be able to see the screen. Oh my God, who are you?
This is Roxy.
Oh, Roxy. What kind of dog is Roxy?
She's a Russell Terrier.
Oh, she's beautiful. I just remember when you used to, because I remember us backstage at Nonsense Amen. Do you remember that, Greg?
Oh, I had Nipper there.
Yes, you did. You had the kennel backstage.
Yeah, she would sleep in her crate.
Oh God, but I said, how are you traveling like this?
Yeah. Oh yeah, she went everywhere with me.
Well, you said I'm doing it more for me, that it was really your stability and for your mental health.
Yeah. Yeah.
So no, I have small dogs because I travel everywhere and I want to be able to take her with me. And Kent, God love you with the cats. I'm so happy we're representing to the cat people.
You got to. Somebody's got to.
Kent, thank you for coming in as a little surprise. I really appreciate it. It was so surprising.
Oh my God.
And you guys are close by. Kent, we will talk again soon. We'll have you back.
Thank you.
Because now apparently there's a lot of a story that I need to hear. So we're definitely coming back. Thanks, Kent.
All right. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And Greg, again, it has flown by, but I knew look, it's just going to be like us talking. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And the last time I saw you, and I will tell people, was it Valley of the Dolls? Is that the last thing?
Oh,
Might have been. I think so. And it's so, and you had done, it was a benefit for, who was it for?
That was the Valley of the Dolls was Alcott Center.
Right.
Alcott Center, yeah. Steve Tyler.
Right. And you've done it how many times?
I think 3.
Yeah, because we were talking about it and you said, oh, I know this part.
Yeah, it was fun. He gets a good group of people together, and we always have fun.
And you're a very charitable person. I just want to point out that you show up pretty much anywhere. If it's an organization you believe in, you will rearrange your schedule and be there. So I think it really has to be acknowledged.
I try.
And you it's been like getting guests in a barrel, but you did rearrange to be with me. And as I keep saying to people, well, where else are you going?
Yeah, no worries.
Thank you so much.
Anytime. Okay.
Thank you so much, Greg. Bye-bye. Take care. Guys, this was another edition of Billy Masters Live. What can I tell you? Stay safe out there. Don't yell. Okay, so I'm going to just say this publicly. Friend of mine just texted saying he did not yell at people. I wasn't talking about you. I have other friends. I have a friend that goes into Stop and Shop in Massachusetts and yells at people. So anyway, that's who that was about. But anyway, stay safe. Take care of yourselves. Do the best you can. And again, thank you for watching Billy Masters Live. If we're here, we're live. Take care and see you on Thursday show. Darlene Love and special guests. You will not want to miss it. Take care. Bye, everyone.